Hey y'all, welcome to the first episode of the OK Talks podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Let's just jump right into the topic that I want to discuss. I believe that everything happens for a reason. The events that are taking place, whether it's in politics or in nature or in entertainment or whatever it is that you pay attention to, everything that is happening at this moment was predestined to happen. A lot of people were saying that 2020 is going to be the year of exposure because 2020 signifies perfect vision, a year that everything that has been done in the dark is being brought to the light. There have been so many things that have been building up to all of the exposure that is happening at this exact point in time. I'm curious to see if it's just going to be ushering in something new and much better, because nothing is going to go back to normal. We can all agree that everything that is happening at this point in time is leading to a new way of life. For those who have been asleep for a very long time, they're either going to remain asleep in their ignorance or they're going to wake up and have to live life another way. There have been a lot of things that have been exposed during this time. The government admitting that aliens are real. We already have known that. There have been so many conspiracies, which now we realize are facts, and it's in plain sight. Everything that people were told that they were crazy for believing is coming to the forefront. Even if you look at sex trafficking, this has been something that has been going on for centuries, and now people are finally being prosecuted and being held accountable, and so many people are being tied into this global sex trafficking scandal. So many things that we have been told to keep hush or that we have no proof of have been things that have been documented by governments all across the world, and they're now being released to us. And again, I don't think that this is any sort of coincidence. First and foremost, God is in control of everything that is happening, and if you read the Bible, you know that there's nothing new under the sun, and that anything that happens in the dark will eventually come to light, which is the reason why God commands us to not bear false witness in the first place, because when you tell a lie, you have to tell a bunch of other lies to cover that up. Eventually, someone or a bunch of people are going to realize that one lie was told, and the more that people use God-given wisdom and understanding to find the truth, the more that the lies are uncovered. So what we're seeing, not just with child sex trafficking and things that have been happening in the political world and within governments around the world, is nothing new. The difference is that these people were just so arrogant and thought that the general public were going to be buying into their lies, and here we are today. I don't think that this is the end of what is to be exposed in 2020. I feel like we've barely seen anything yet. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's gonna get deeper, and things are going to be exposed more and more, if not this year, throughout the next decade, because there have been decades upon decades of lies that have been hidden and covered up. Things that have been happening in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even the 70s are now coming to light in this new decade. I just think that it's really interesting how people who have known of these things that have been happening, who turned a blind eye to it, who helped conceal the truth, are really shocked that they're being held accountable for the lies that they've told. So many people, I mean, whether you believe in God or not, that's up to you. There are so many Bible verses that pretty much prove that no one gets away with anything that they do, especially when it is rooted in evil and bad intentions. So the surprise and the arrogance of the people who have been covering up so much and have been lying so much, now that the truth is exposed, how do we go back to normalcy? I don't think that we will ever go back to normalcy, because so much truth has been exposed in this year, and it's been a build up for decades, honestly, and we're just gonna have to wait and see how this all plays out. But I just think that it's really, really, really interesting that justice, or whatever it is that you want to call it, I know that it's God, but whatever you look at it as, there's always going to be this universal principle that whatever is done in the dark shall surely come to the light. I think the most interesting thing that has been exposed how much people rely on routine. We're in a pandemic at the moment. A lot of people are expecting that things will go back to quote unquote normal sometime this summer, and we're seeing that there are places like Texas and Florida and other places in the South that tried reopening, and the coronavirus cases have skyrocketed. So now people have to go back into lockdown. We just have to wait and see. I don't think that things will ever go back to quote unquote normal, but people have become so complacent with routine that they don't seem to want to grasp this concept that the life that we knew in previous years and decades no longer exists. I genuinely believe that people are going to be extremely ignorant and not care, or people are going to be super on guard and just not wanting to interact like they used to. Viruses and diseases and bacteria and all that natural stuff has been around for a while. I mean, every year we have a flu season and people still get sick and die from various diseases and viruses, and that never stopped people from washing their hands or interacting or, doing things that could put your health at risk. But suddenly we have something like the coronavirus and everyone is just on edge, everyone's on guard. And for me, I definitely do take this seriously. However, I'm not going to live my life in fear because there are so many things that can kill you, and diseases, viruses, bacteria, germs, whatever are not the only things that can kill you. It's pretty interesting how the government and the media are pretty much in control with people's outlook on life. People are relying heavily on the government and the media to tell them when they can go back to their regular everyday routines. Again, I think that this is a wake-up call for some people where they're going to start to realize that they cannot rely on the government and the media, and they're going to just start living life in a way where they're more aware of things, but not from an external source. Again, this time was predestined. It doesn't surprise me that we're currently living in the midst of a pandemic. It doesn't surprise me that so many people are dying and that people's lives have been changed, whether that's for better or worse. It's not something that's really surprising because it's something that has been in the making. It goes to show that we have to be more careful with who and what we place all of our trust in. This exposure, this unveiling, this revelation, however you want to put it, was long overdue. I'm genuinely interested to observe how people are going to live life from now on. I think that it'll be something that is worth watching. I know for me, my trust and my faith are in God, so I know that, again, something like this doesn't surprise me. It's just what's next. What is in store? What's going to happen? Where are things going to go? This isn't the first time in history that a virus or a disease or a plague has hindered the world's progress or hindered an economy. I know that we will bounce back. It's just really interesting to see how regular everyday people are affected by this and how they will recover from something like this pandemic. It's one thing to hear about people living through a pandemic when it's centuries ago, but experiencing something like this modern day is a completely different experience. When you read about something, you can visualize it and you can learn about it, but actually experiencing something, you have to go through it and live it to be a part of this moment in history. Even though, again, nothing is new under the sun. There's going to be some other type of plague or disease or virus that shuts the world down. Hopefully people have a more advanced way of living, so that way something like this is not going to affect how they live every day. I mean, I have no predictions. I can't see into the future, so I'm not sure how a pandemic will affect society centuries from now. But for the most part, these are just my general thoughts on 2020 and it being the year of clear vision and exposure and things that have been done in the dark for so long coming to the light. So I want to thank you for listening to the first episode of the OK Talks podcast, where again I'll be discussing random topics that are on my mind, and hopefully you enjoyed this first episode. Thank you so much for listening.